From the News Channel 5 Network and AARP, this is AARP Connected.
It's a great day to be connected. Hi, I'm your host, Mia McNeil, and welcome to AARP Connected. I'm glad you've tuned in. We've got a great show in store for you. As you know, during each episode of AARP Connected, we explore important issues that empower you to choose how you live as you age. Hundreds of thousands of Americans are involved in volunteer work in communities across the country. They do some amazing things to make their neighborhoods better. Since April is National Volunteer Appreciation Month, we'll be talking about volunteering, and we'll be joined by Tara Shaver from AARP's Office of Volunteer Engagement to talk about what it all means. But before we get into that conversation, let's check out a segment we call Things You Need to Know.
Elder financial abuse is a growing threat, but there are ways you can help keep a loved one financially and emotionally safe from scammers. If a loved one asks you to help with money matters, keep others in the loop. Failing to communicate can lead to fights, isolation, and perceptions of exploitation. Stay informed and try to keep on top of financial matters. And don't be afraid to ask tough questions, such as if or how often your loved ones are giving money to another family member or friend. At the same time, respect their right to make their own decisions as long as they are able. Despite best efforts, sometimes financial abuse will happen. If you believe a loved one has been victimized, report it to Adult Protective Services and law enforcement in your area. Be sure to blame the perpetrator for what happened and reassure your loved one that it was not his or her fault. For more scam tips, go to aarp.org/fraudwatchnetwork.
Filing a claim on your auto insurance can protect you against liability and debt, but it could also affect your rates. Here are 3 situations in which you may not want to file a car insurance claim to keep your rates from increasing. If you damage your car and repairs would cost less than your deductible, you're better off paying out of pocket. This way you won't add to your claim history, which can affect your future premiums. If you're at fault in a minor accident like a fender bender, you may be able to reach an agreement with the other party to pay for the repairs yourself. But if the other driver is at fault, don't offer to pay for any repairs. If you have an older vehicle and the damage is only cosmetic, you may want to avoid the hassle and potential costs of filing a claim. But while potential costs make it tempting not to file, if you or your passengers are injured in an accident, no matter how minor, you should always file a claim. For more car-saving tips, go to aarp.org/auto.
And finally, since this episode is all about volunteering, I wanted to share some of the impact AARP volunteers are making. Last year, 58,000 people volunteered with AARP. They delivered more than 8.8 million hours of volunteer service in their respective communities and helped make a difference in the lives of an estimated 2 million Americans. And I want to shout out specifically our volunteers. In Tennessee, what we do is only possible because of their participation. Their spirit, enthusiasm, and dedication to making a difference is always inspiring. If you've thought about making a real difference in your community, then today's show is just for you. We're talking what you can do, how you can do it, and the folks who are making a big positive change in our world. With us today is Tara Shaver. Tara is a senior advisor with AARP's Office of Volunteer Engagement, where she has served for the last 9 years. Before that, Tara was actually a member of the AARP Tennessee team, so she's got lots of experience here in the volunteer state. Thanks for connecting with us today. So Tara, let's jump right in. So I talked a little bit about your role, but can you tell me more about your role and what you're doing to maximize this experience for volunteers in Tennessee?
Absolutely. So after leaving the volunteer state, where I got all of my base training, I joined the Office of Volunteer Engagement, where we serve our state offices offices and our volunteers all across the country, as well as other programs that AARP has that work with volunteers. And so we do training and development. We provide the infrastructure that helps us keep up with everybody. And we oversee our own volunteer teams that are serving their volunteer colleagues across the country as well. So essentially, all things volunteer fall under our umbrella.
Fantastic. So tell me a little bit about what opportunities are available for volunteers here in Tennessee.
Yeah, so there are so many ways that people can volunteer. And as we were talking about just before we sat down, you know, a lot of times people are doing things to help others and they don't really consider it volunteering. They're just helping out. So believe it or not, whether you call it that or not, that is absolutely volunteering. And there are organizations all across the state and really all across the country that are relying on volunteers to get the work done. So with our volunteers in Tennessee and beyond, they are working at our community events, they're working with our community partners, and again, they're working with other volunteers just to help keep everything running throughout the year.
So we know that volunteers love volunteering and they are the backbone of the volunteer work in our state, but what do they get out of it?
Well, you know, many people would automatically think that people volunteer just to do good. And, you know, really they do, of course, but most people, especially of late, are saying that that social connection is why they're volunteering. People often get involved with volunteering if they move to a different area or to a different state, but they're also getting that sense of purpose. And then the thing that has become even more obvious to us is also it's just staying active, both with our bodies and with our brains. So lots of benefits to volunteering. It's really good for you.
Fantastic. So you lead volunteering for other people, but tell me about your first volunteering experience.
I had to really give this some thought because I feel like I've always been a helper. So the first time I remember actually stepping up to volunteer was in high school, and I was involved with an Interact club with many of my friends. And I once or twice wore the McGruff the Crime Dog suit. We worked a lot with our local police department. We fixed up bikes for kids, and we helped them just show up at community events. And so things have really evolved over time, but that's really the first time I can remember stepping in and raising my hand to volunteer.
Yeah. So I know that you have brought a little bit of a video to tell us a little bit about the work that you do with AARP. So let's take a look.
Great.
We always say that we're about our community and helping people live their best lives, and we actually do that.
I learned from the students. To see them participate in class with enthusiasm, it just warms my heart.
When you're working for low-income seniors, you're making a huge contribution for a whole community of people with big legal needs.
If you volunteer for AARP, you're going to grow as a person.
The group that I've been working with, it's like a family.
I love the fact that no matter where you go, people say, oh, I'm a member, and it doesn't matter their color, their creed, religion.
So the fabulous work, the fun, and the friendships all put it together to a very good volunteer experience.
I'm Arlene.
I'm John. And I'm a proud
AARP
volunteer.
Now we need to take a short break, but before we do, I want to say I'm ready to hear more. So come on back. Okay, welcome back to AARP Connected. If you're just joining us, we're visiting with AARP's Tara Schaefer, who works in the Office of Volunteer Engagement. So I know that the idea of volunteering can be really intimidating for people. So for folks who haven't done it before, what are your tips about volunteering?
Yeah, so I have like kind of 3 key tips. One is to tag along. Go with a friend. You don't even have to say say you're volunteering, right? I just want to go see what you do. You could call it shadowing, but just tag along with someone and see how it is to be around that organization and the work that they're doing. Also, date around. So you don't have to commit just because you see something you're interested in. You don't have to commit full Monty right away. Browse, check things out, maybe just go to some of their events and see how things operate. And that keeps the pressure and the commitment really low right out of the gate, which can be helpful. And honestly, just keep it simple. Jump in where it's easy. If you show up early to an event, offer to give a hand. I know we always appreciate that when people do that. And it's the same, you know, if I volunteer with a rescue, it's like offering to, you know, give someone a hand getting the materials out of their car or hold the leash for just a minute is a good way to kind of see how things operate, to meet a few people so that it's not so intimidating or so scary when you get ready to really give a little bit more of your time.
I love the idea of dating around. That is hilarious to me. Okay, so we've talked about your first volunteering memory, but tell me about your favorite volunteering memory.
Oh my gosh, it helped me really reflect on my own volunteering because I'm often working with other people on the ways that they volunteer. And one of my favorite memories is how I was able to step in more during the pandemic and really during lockdown with the rescue that I volunteer with. So I've volunteered with Russell Rescue of Tennessee since they became an official nonprofit, and it gave me the opportunity to get to know more about the people, to get to know more about their needs, to get to know the history, things that I missed out on because I was devoting more time to working, and it allowed me to also step in with some of the gifts that I had. So I was able to help them set up monetization with their social media accounts. I set up a Google Voice line so everyone wasn't calling the director, and I was able to also get to know more of the dogs. So many dogs, and I've become a little bit of an expert in like behavioral issues, you know, from just an average person's perspective, but by the volume of dogs that I've worked with, I've been able to help so many families, new adopters, sometimes people who were ready to surrender their pets, and giving them the counsel that they needed and the tools that they needed to be able to, you know, change that situation. And so that just still, it is such a warm memory to think about how I was able to jump right into that because I had a little bit more time. I wasn't spending as much time on the road and in the air.
Oh my goodness, so much fun. We know that volunteering is a really engaging and enriching experience for volunteers. What type of training and development do you have available for volunteers who want to get involved?
Oh my gosh, so much. So as I mentioned, the Office of Volunteer Engagement, we're all things volunteer. And because of our volunteers who work with us at the Office of Volunteer Engagement, many of them from the great state of Tennessee, we are able to offer training and development on special issues like technology. We have Tech Tuesdays every single Tuesday. We have a volunteer orientation that's run by volunteers called the Volunteer Fast Track. That is a weekly occurrence as well. We have a volunteer engagement idea exchange where people just join this call with one set topic to talk about you know, challenges and also about their solutions that they have come up with, which is a lot of fun, and that's on a monthly basis. But we also have on-demand training. So my team is a training and development team, and we have on-demand trainings that we've created, like bite-sized versions of things that we used to do in person and spend a couple days on. We have condensed those down to, in some cases, a couple hours, in some cases, a couple of minutes. So it's really great. And that on-the-job training cannot be overstated. It is something that we believe in. It's just get right in there and do, because you're going to learn more by being around people and asking questions than you would ever learn from sitting in front of a computer monitor. And many organizations, especially grassroots organizations, are like that. They really just need for folks to, you know, come with their helping hands and get involved, and they're going to learn along the way.
Yeah. So let's pivot to ethel groups. They are all the rage. So what are they, and frankly, what do they do?
Yeah. So this is like the coolest thing that possibly has ever happened to us in terms of our community. We have a lot of publications, as you know, and one of those is called The Ethel, and it's named after our founder, Ethel Percy Andrus, and it's for women who weren't born yesterday, which is a really cute tagline. But women started to speak up within this group on Facebook and start to look for other women near them, right? So is there anybody in Murfreesboro, Tennessee? And other people would step up and say, yes, I'm there. And so they started to gather for lunch or coffee or just get together to go to the farmer's market. And as a result of that, when we saw how these were popping up across the country, AARP leaned in and we said, how can we help support you? So these Ethel gathering groups are exclusively for women, sorry fellas, and they are groups that are getting together for that social connection. And they are all over over the country, and we have some right here in Middle Tennessee, as well as some groups in East and West, which is wonderful. And those groups are there not only for that social connection, but to help, plan other events, plan ways that they're going to meet up and do these things together. So you can go and check them out as just an individual. You're going because you want to have something to do, or you want to see, meet some new people. But then there's the opportunity to step in really light and easy ways, to be that person who is going to greet someone if you show up for lunch, right? Just to be the one who welcomes people and says, here's our table. And so I really encourage folks, if they're wanting to do something, but they're maybe not sure about the commitment or what they might contribute, to check out these gathering groups. The Ethel gathering groups, again, are all over the country. We have, I think, 120 groups right now, but many of them have formed subgroups within those based on their specific geography. So they are just, it's so cool, and it's so cool to see how almost every day we're getting more inquiries for people who are wanting to start the groups or join a group near them.
Awesome. And you can find those on...
You can find them on Facebook. That's the main way that they started to organize, so that's where we went. But we also have a landing page on our website. So if you go to AARP.org and type in Ethel Gathering Group, you are for sure going to get that page, and you can click on it, and it's an interactive tool that'll let you see where those groups are near you and be able to navigate to the proper place on Facebook.
Wonderful. So I know that we have a lot of volunteers here in Tennessee, and we have some on a national level. I am excited to talk to you about how we recognize our volunteers when we come back from the break. So when we come back from the break, we're going to talk a little bit more about how we recognize our volunteers. So come on back. Welcome back to AARP Connected. We have a few minutes left with our guest, Tara Shaver from AARP's Office of Volunteer Engagement. We started talking a little bit about volunteer recognition before we went to break. Tell me a little bit about how volunteers are recognized on a national level.
Yeah, so as you know, we have an award called the Andrus Award that is named after our founder, Ethel Percy Andrus, and every state does that award every year. But on the national level, we try to look for kind of the everyday ways to recognize. We encourage our volunteers to recognize each other. As you know, we love to give away anything with the AARP brand on it, and so volunteers love that as well. But we look for ways that we can celebrate our work together and to recognize them just through little acts of kindness, appreciation, acknowledgement when we're in a group of their peers. And you know, above all else, just saying thank you goes a long way. Good old-fashioned handwritten cards mean a lot, and typically that's what our volunteers say they want to hear, is just a thank you.
Excellent. So I want to start volunteering tomorrow. How do I do it?
Well, I'm so glad you asked. So one of the ways that we have for people to get connected, not only with AARP volunteer opportunities, but also with opportunities in their community, is through Create the Good. So I know we have a link on the screen about that, and you can not only search for volunteer opportunities near you, but if you're part of a community organization, you can also post those volunteer opportunities in order to get volunteers who can come and help you out with the work that you're doing. The Hands-On Network is another great resource, and that is around the world and around the country. And then also, what would I be doing if I didn't give a shameless plug for rescues and shelters? They are overflowing and they all need a hand. So here in Nashville, you can go and take a dog for a bow wow breakout without even having to do a volunteer orientation or training. There is a greenway right near the shelter, so you can go take them for a walk on the greenway, or you can take them to Lowe's, wherever you want to go. But there are some really great ways that you could just jump right in and get involved with volunteering just almost immediately.
Yeah. So I would love for us to share that information one more time with folks about how they can get involved. We have a ton of volunteers and people who want to volunteer, of course, in the volunteer state of Tennessee.
Yes.
So give us that information one more time so we can make sure that everyone has access to it.
Yes. So Create the Good is a great resource. You can look for volunteer opportunities with AARP as well as with other organizations. You can also post opportunities there. The Hands-On Network is a fantastic quick resource that you can look for volunteer opportunities by using a calendar to see what's available when you're available. And also, rescues and shelters are just desperate for hands on deck all across the country because they are overflowing. So you can go do a bow wow breakout, take a dog for a walk on the Greenway without having to do a whole lot of fuss to get prepared to do that. And then you can also check it out and see if you want to go help out with some other things.
Tara, you absolutely rock. Thank you so much for the work that you're doing to help create the good in Tennessee. I'm ready to roll up my sleeves right now and do it. I'm ready to go. It's been wonderful having you on show. Thank you so much. I hope our viewers are thinking about how they can be part of positive changes in their neighborhoods. If you'd like to connect with AARP, we've got some fun community events coming up. We're hosting fraud fighting events, music lessons, and pickleball clinics in communities across the state. It's all free and no AARP membership is required. Find out more at aarp.org/TN. Stay in the know in all of the latest that AARP is doing in Tennessee. Connect with us on any of these popular social media sites. And if you enjoy podcasts, we will have a podcast version of each episode available wherever you download your favorite podcast content. Just hit subscribe and get notifications when new episodes are available. Well, that's all the time we have today. I hope you found our discussion informative and valuable. I'm Mia McNeil, and thanks for being connected. So.